Perhaps the one part of Canada's relationship with the United States that is a constant is how it ebbs and flows with its leaders, while remaining somehow workable. Until, that is,
I, Donald John Trump.
Donald Trump arrived on the scene.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
Upending the relationship with this country and others on issues like trade and international cooperation. For the past 4 years, Justin Trudeau's government has worked relentlessly to manage that, sometimes stumbling. Like the one time President Trump visited Canada to attend the G7 in Quebec. After the United States imposed steel tariffs on this country for, quote, national security reasons, the Prime Minister struck back at the closing press conference.
Canadians were polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
Perhaps a reasonable response.
There's a special place in hell for any foreign leader that engages in bad faith diplomacy with President Donald J. Trump.
But Trudeau quickly felt the anger of the president, who called the Prime Minister dishonest. And on the relationship went. Through complicated negotiations on the new NAFTA, which at times the president threatened to rip up entirely.
But Canada has treated us very badly. They've treated our farmers in Wisconsin and New York State and a lot of other states very badly.
To criticism of Canada and others for their contributions to NATO.
Where are you now in terms of your number?
We're at 135?
1.3.
1.4.
Trump's chaotic style of leadership has kept Canada on its toes, but Canada remains the largest trading partner of the United States and is dependent on the success of that relationship for a large share of its wealth. So even when Canada is being used for domestic political reasons, as it was most recently when the president hit this country yet again with more tariffs, this time against aluminum.
Earlier today, I signed a proclamation that defends American industry by reimposing aluminum tariffs on Canada. Canada was taking advantage of us, as usual.
Canada had to respond with a promise of its own retaliatory tariffs.
We will be taking action to counter the unjust tariffs put on Canadian aluminum by the United States.
Until the U.S. eventually backed down last month, which is why the Deputy Prime Minister, who has managed a lot of this back and forth, explained things this way.
There are no guarantees going forward. As we have learned, there are not in our trading relationship with this administration. That's why we're always clear that we will impose retaliatory tariffs if tariffs are levied against our exports.
In spite of the complications, Sarah Goldfeder, a former special assistant to 2 U.S. ambassadors to Canada, says regardless of the outcome of this election, the Canada-U.S. relationship will always come with challenges.
The issues that kind of remain the same, regardless which administration you've got, you have to manage. And so I think all of the trade issues that we find tricky, softwood lumber, and even to some extent steel and aluminum.
There may be a more natural alignment between the Trudeau Liberals and a United States run by Joe Biden, starting with the fact that the two just seem to get along, as evidenced when Biden came for a state dinner back in 2016.
We're more like family, even than allies. And I really mean that. At least that's the way the vast majority of Americans feel about Canada and Canadians. It's like family.
Under Biden, the United States would rejoin Canada in the Paris Climate Agreement and return to the international stage as a real player in multilateral organizations like NATO and the United Nations. But there are also challenges with the Biden administration. This former U.S. ambassador to Canada and a Republican says Biden would not be the answer to all of Canada's problems.
The first thing he said he's going to do is rescind the presidential permit for the Keystone Pipeline, and that, in my opinion, would be devastating to Canada, particularly Western Canada, and have a severe impact on all the energy jobs connected with that.
Whatever challenges Biden may present, he certainly offers more predictability, and that may make life here a little easier. But again, the former ambassador says Canada shouldn't worry too much.
The United States is going to be your friend, your best friend, regardless of who's in the White House, regardless of who's in the Prime Minister's office.
That may be true, but this government, this country, will still be watching closely to understand just what we will have to deal with for the next 4 years. Rosemary Barton, CBC News, Ottawa.